Dear students and viewers, welcome to our digital classroom. Today I am with you again with a new unit and new lesson. The title of the unit is Diaspora. This term is very much important and new for you. Today I am feel a bit out of sorts. Nevertheless, I try to be before you for your own sake. And a bit of coughing and feel problem within my throat. Nevertheless, I am trying to conduct the class today. Unit 9, Diaspora, and the title of Lesson 1, What is Diaspora? Have you heard the name Diaspora before? I think you have heard. And this chapter is very important because you may face it in the form of paragraph in your exam as well. So you will have to have a good understanding on this passage if you would like to produce a paragraph in your answer scripts, and you are supposed to write down this paragraph. And what are the learning outcomes? If you go through this passage at the end of this lesson, you will be able to comprehend the definition of diaspora and analyze the causes of diaspora. What is diaspora? The definition has been mentioned in the next slide of today's lesson, and the causes have also been mentioned. And what are the causes and what is the definition of diaspora? The term may be very much new to most of the students because this term is really unheard of. Whenever you deal with the migration, this term is used. So before, as usual, enter into the main text, we deal with vocabularies. We try to give you the clear conception of vocabularies because without having a proper idea, meaning of related vocabularies, you won't be able to correlate the passage with your understanding. So, diaspora, meaning expatriate, the diaspora has been defined, clarified to some extent in a broader way in the next slide. And plight means suffering, okay, massive means great, ravage, destruction, ancestral means hereditary, noteworthy means significant. So these are the most important vocabularies you may face while going through this lesson. I think you have developed a clear understanding on the meaning of these related vocabularies. So, what is diaspora? In the image, which has been given animation for your clear understanding, you can easily say, get the idea what is diaspora. Now, come to the definition. The term refers to the movement or migration or scattering. What is the movement? The movement or migration or scattering of people. What is diaspora? Diaspora refers to or means the movement or migration or scattering of people who leave their ancestral homeland and settle in other parts of the world. Leave the ancestral homeland, leave their own homeland where their forefathers and parents abide in. So they leave the ancestral homeland and settle in other parts of the world. Whenever this movement happens, we term is with the word diaspora. So what is diaspora? The movement or scattering of people from their ancestral homeland and settle themselves in other parts of the world. So this term is called diaspora. So, what are the causes of diaspora? In your text, the definition has been given. At the same time, the reason of diaspora, that means migration, that means movement of the people from their ancestral homeland to other lands, causes have been mentioned in your text. Three causes have been mentioned clearly, and the rest of the causes have been stated in a very roundabout way. So, war, what are the causes of diaspora? War, revenge of nature, and globalization. These three causes have been stated in your text directly, and social insecurity has been presented in a very roundabout way. So, you are to get the idea about the rest of the causes of diaspora. Sorry, and factors behind diaspora. What are the factors behind diaspora? Force of the authority. Sometimes people are forced to leave their ancestral homeland by the authority. Whenever they are forced to leave their ancestral homeland, so they are bound to leave and settle in other parts of the world. So, in a very noun form, we can say it term it the force of the authority. And next, the separation of certain group of people. Uh, we see in many parts of the world that a group of people are suppressed by a certain group of people, and at the end of the separation they are forced to leave their own land and settle in other parts of the world. So separation is one of the factors that play a pivotal role in leaving their ancestral homeland and settle in other parts of the world. I am frequently using the word leaving the ancestral homeland and settle in other parts of the world for your own convenience. If you frequently hear these two terms, you can easily get acquainted with it and you can easily produce your own idea with proper use of vocabularies. Sorry, I beg pardon for this. Self-will. Some people willingly leave their own ancestral homeland. So in that case, self-will is one of the factors which are responsible for diaspora. And threat and compulsion. Threat and compulsion, this is closely associated with these three causes. They are under threat by the authority or certain group of influential people. So out of threat they uh, are bound to leave their own land and settle in other parts of the world. For that reason, threat and compulsion is one of the causes of diaspora. I said earlier that the diaspora is very much important for a passage as well as for paragraph. You are supposed to write down the paragraph, so try to develop the idea on diaspora. After having a proper idea, I think you can undoubtedly produce paragraph in your answer scripts. So, globalization. Globalization is one of the causes of diaspora. And what is globalization? Definition has not been mentioned in the text, but you are supposed to write down the definition of globalization. So, you will have to have the idea of globalization. What is globalization? Globalization is the process through which views, ideas, and cultures are exchanged. That means new ideas, new views can easily be exchanged with the process of globalization. So these factors should be in the focus. And people easily get integrated with other culture. That means this is the process through which newness can be embraced, and it is the a process through which people can easily get integrated with other culture with the touch of newness. So through this process we develop a keen interest to be settled in other part of the world. So this is considered to be the one of the sole factors of the causes of diaspora. So, what is globalization is to be clarified, and this is considered to be the chief reason for diaspora. Chief reason means main reason for diaspora. each and every moment, at every walk of our life, we confront these storms and we face the blessings of globalization. Consequently, we tend a tremendous feeling to be settled in other parts of the world, leaving our own ancestral homeland. So, globalization is considered to be the chief or main factor of diaspora. Reasons of voluntary diaspora. Voluntary diaspora, that means people willingly tend to leave their ancestral homeland whenever they will, according to their own choice, to leave their ancestral homeland and settle in other parts of the world. It is termed as voluntary diaspora. What are the reasons of voluntary diaspora? Reasons of voluntary diaspora has not been mentioned in your text, but you are to come up with the reasons out of your creative ideas, because you may face the reasons of voluntary diaspora, though not mentioned in the text, but very much important to have a clear idea on the reason of voluntary diaspora. What are the reasons of voluntary diaspora? Better earnings. Everyone want to have a sound and economic stability. For that reason, they leave their ancestral homeland and tend to settle in other parts of the world. So better earnings is one of the causes of voluntary diaspora. Standard living. To have a standard living, they tend to leave their ancestral homeland. At the same time, for the sake of their offspring's future, the parents tend to leave their ancestral homeland. That means for better upbringing of children. Then safety. Safety sometimes get privatization. For that reason, group of people or individuals tend to leave their ancestral homeland. So, international business or internal business or other foreign affairs, because of personal business issue or foreign affairs, they try to be settled in other parts of the world, leaving their own ancestral homeland. And globalization has been discussed earlier. It is considered to be the main reason of migration, and it is also the cause of voluntary diaspora. So, higher education. In order to have a quality education, individuals or a group of people tend to leave their ancestral homeland and settle in other parts of the world. You may get bored of listening to these words, leave the ancestral homeland and settle in other parts of the world. There is the chance of being bored, but instead of being bored, you should be acquainted with these two terms so that this vocabulary can and be stuck within your memory, and out of this memory you can use these vocabularies for the sake of your own understanding. So these are the causes of the voluntary diaspora. You may come up with new ideas regarding the voluntary diaspora. Noteworthy diaspora. What is noteworthy diaspora? Passage mentions noteworthy diaspora. What is noteworthy diaspora? Worth mentionable. This Central Europe, Indian subcontinent. You through the image of the map, you can easily locate Central Europe and Indian subcontinent for your own convenience. The movement of Aryan. The movement of Aryan has been mentioned in your passage as noteworthy diaspora. And movement of Aryan is a noteworthy diaspora, and the causes of this diaspora are unclear. And we know diaspora and we know the causes of the diaspora, but regarding this specific noteworthy diaspora, the causes are not clear. Why the Aryan left their ancestral homeland and settled in other parts of the world? The reasons are not clear. So the reasons are unclear, the information has been stated in that way in your text, and drew the attention of the world leaders. What sort of diaspora drew the attention of the world leaders? We have come across the fact of the reasons of diaspora and the reasons of voluntary diaspora, noteworthy diaspora, and now you face what sort of diaspora drew the attention of the world leaders. At present, Rohingya diaspora, the plight of the Rohingya diaspora drew the attention of the world leaders. Why? Because of their miseries. And for their miseries, they are successful in drawing the attention of the world leaders. Similarity can also be found regarding the Palestinian diaspora. Palestinians drew the attention of the world leaders because of their miserable condition, because of their plights. So, Palestinian diaspora is the causes of concern for the world leaders. It becomes the cause of concern for the world sorry causes of concern for the world leaders. Similarly, nowadays, Rohingya diaspora, the plight of the Rohingyas is the prime cause of that gives birth to the tension of the world leaders. The world leaders are very much concerned about the plight of diasporas, though solution has not yet been drawn. Okay, so Palestinian diaspora is the cause of concern for the world leaders. So, what is noteworthy diaspora and what are the causes of concern for the world leaders, or what drew the attention of the world leaders? You have to keep this information in this mind. Scholars have been studying diaspora with great interest. The statement, the line has been stated in your text. The scholars have been studying diaspora with great interest. But why are they studying with great interest has not been mentioned, but mentioned in a very roundabout way. You are to come up your own argument. Why are they studying with interest? Here, two tangible reasons have been stated in this slide for your own understanding. To get statistical data on migrants and expatriates, the people who migrate, who leave their ancestral homeland, and to get the data of that particular people, scholars are studying with great interest, and at the same time to understand the actual reason why they leave their ancestral homeland. What are the focal reasons of their migration, in order to get the idea of actual data of the expatriates and understand the actual reason. Scholars have been studying with great interest. So, names of important diasporas and the reasons. So, if you'd like to have a wonderful summary of the diasporas and the reasons, I have mentioned in a very organized way. You see the Jewish diaspora. Jewish diaspora, and we see the Jewish diaspora, and the diaspora happens out of the cause of religious persecution. A group of people are persecuted for religious ground. For that reason, particularly the Jewish people left their ancestral homeland and decided to settle in other parts of the world. And then Aryan diaspora. It has been mentioned that the reason is not clear regarding the migration of Aryan and Palestinian diaspora. Just before our hand, we have discussed the Palestinian diaspora. And what is the reason? Because of the suppression of certain group of people. The Palestinian diaspora, what are the reasons, have not mentioned in your text, but we are to get the idea beforehand. What are the reasons of Palestinian diaspora? Only Palestinian diaspora have been mentioned in your text, but reason you will have to come up with your own uh, prior knowledge. So separation of certain group of people is treated to be the main cause of Palestinian diaspora and African diaspora because of war and ravage of nature. This information has been clearly stated in your text. So African diaspora, what are the causes? African diaspora, the African left their ancestral homeland because of war and the ravage of nature. Then Bangladeshi diaspora. Bangladeshi diaspora has not been mentioned in your text, but I have represented in my slide because this is one of the factors that represents the core essence of diaspora as well as we live in Bangladesh. So Bangladeshi diaspora in 1971, Liberation War took place. So many people or a group of people left Bangladesh and settled in India. So because of war, not only India, the other parts of the world as well, especially India. So these are the information. This is the information available in your text. You have developed an idea on diaspora, and if you have the idea on diaspora, you can easily answer to these questions without any doubt, facing any problem as well as. What is diaspora? The definition has been clarified in one of the slides. What might a group of people want to leave their country, sorry, involuntary? Why do the people tend to leave their country? Involuntary has also been discussed in my class today. And why do you think scholars have been interested in the study of diaspora? These are also been discussed in one of the slides because they want to get the actual data of the diasporas and want to know the reason of diaspora. For that reason, they are studying with great interest, and this information has been mentioned, discussed in today's class. What might globalization lead to diaspora? We have a wonderful idea on globalization. So what propels to leave their homeland and settle in other parts of the world out of the sense of globalization? Why had Palestinians left their ancestral homeland? This regarding Palestinian diaspora, we get information which is very much helpful to have a concrete idea on vocabulary. These are the important questions that has been set in today's slide for your class because as a student, you may frequently face these questions, and you are to come up with the answers to these questions with sound knowledge. For that reason, these questions has been stated here. And here you find a flowchart. What is the question of this flowchart? Showing some important diasporas and the causes of diasporas, important diasporas and the causes of diasporas. These two have been mentioned here. The diaspora of the Jewish people, important diaspora, and the causes of diaspora will have to be presented in rest of the 5 boxes following the terms of a flowchart. This is new to you, and you are to have a mastery regarding the fulfillment of the box of flowchart. So that's all for today. Thanks, and I beg pardon again because I feel out of sorts today. And thanks for watching this video. Thank you again.